Social justice, 1, 2, 3. Woo, woo. I wanna be PC. Woo, woo. It's just the way to be for me and you. Woo, woo. Your hateful slurs are through. Woo, woo.
I call woo woo on you.
Woo, woo. We'll fight until you're PC black and blue.
Woo woo.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I guess some people thought I was a little depressed when I went over the new creator on Detective Comics yesterday. I'm not depressed. I'm not walking away, from comic books. I am a little frustrated because we knew Endless Winters here. We knew Future State was happening in January and February. We thought that was giving the main creators at DC Comics time to gin up whatever. It wasn't going to be a reboot, but essentially the new future of DC Comics starting March 2021. We thought what's Peter J. Tomasi doing? Is he going to be on Detective still? What's Robert Venditti doing? What's Joshua Williamson doing? Kind of the bigger name creators. We knew Scott Snyder was going to be taking a step back. I don't think any of us really could have predicted that the Future State creative teams are essentially the new DC Comics creator teams. So Eric Breen, obviously he was on the channel last week. We were talking about, what the hell are DC Comics doing? No, we weren't sure. This was not a direction I think we took into consideration. And obviously here with me is the man so cool. They call him the Breen, Eric Breen, to talk with me about this. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Wes, and you?
I'm a little bit frustrated, but we're going to talk it out here today. Also, I do want to mention that Eric is a regular contributor on Anglintine's I Love Comics and Old Man Comics. How often are you on that channel? Are you a regular on a particular show or something?
Well, we do a show on Monday nights called We've Got Issues, where we go over the news of the day and review some books. I review back issues. That's why they call me Back Issue Breen over there. And we also film videos kind of in the same vein of the ones that we do.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you can't get enough Eric Breen here on Thinking Critical YouTube, because I only get him once or twice a week, there's a lot more helpings over on I Love Comics and Old Man Comics. There will be a link in the video description. So if you want to go check that out, and I highly suggest it. Anglintine's a good dude. He's been on the channel before, and I like him a lot. Now, before we get into this discussion, I don't know where it's going to go. We did talk a little bit beforehand, but we haven't talked out all the details. I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the Thinking Critical YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Give us a thumbs down if you don't. And I know there's going to be a whole heaping of praise for Eric Breen and his wonderful takes on the comic book industry. Hey, you can send some love your boy's way as well. I'm not chopped liver. Okay, compared to Eric Breen, I'm chopped liver. But, most of the times you guys think I'm pretty decent. And I also do want to send a special shout out to Marvel 2099. Gave me he supported the channel on the coffee page that I have. There is also a link in the video description. If you would like to help support Thinking Critical YouTube and our coffee page, we do have what do we got coming up with Adobe? Well, essentially the software package that I use to make the videos, and also I believe my StreamYard fees are coming up. So if you would like to help out, I'm currently not monetized because I have not received my PIN. It's become very frustrating. It's been months upon months, basically a year waiting for that. So if you could help, I would appreciate it. And special shout out to Marvel 2099. All right, so Breen, getting into the subject at hand, we're like, where are DC Comics going? And I think we finally got the ultimate. I'm calling it the middle finger. Is it a slap in the face? Mariko Tamaki replacing Peter fucking Tomasi on Detective Comics. How do you feel about it? I think everyone knows how I feel right now.
Well, when I first saw that, I was hoping it was a typo. And then I realized that it wasn't because they used the full names. Now, I'm not saying that there's no chance this can be good, but I said, there once upon a time you had to work your way up to getting an assignment like a Batman book or a Spider-Man book. I don't know what's in her track record of sales to give the impression that she's ready for Batman. Now, I hope she does a little bit. I know her proclivities for writing food scenes. I hope she's done a little research so she has Batman eating McDonald's instead of Spagos, because he is on a budget now. But
absolutely no Panera bread in that Batman budget right now. He lost his money.
But I don't know. it seems like, I question the timing. You, last week, the biggest news in comics was something that was just almost universally panned by people that actually read comics. And, I'm talking about I Am Not Starfire. So that put a bad taste in the mouths of actual readers. And then the week later, she's announced as the Batman writer or on Detective, and she's going to get praise in all the usual places.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know there's going to, Entertainment Weekly is not going to do a little article saying Peter J. Tomasi is still on Detective, but you can bet there'll be one for Mariko Tamaki. I can already see the Mary Sue article. Mariko Tamaki's the best thing that happened to Batman, and we need to talk about it. And those are the kind of things that you don't get by staying the course with actual comic book writers telling comic book stories.
It's the craziest thing, Brain. She could write an entire Detective Comics issue of Bruce Wayne sitting on a top and spinning in circles doing nothing, and they would be praised as powerful just because people like the fact that there's a female LGBTQ minority writer on Batman. And I'm certainly not opposed to a person having those traits being on Batman, as long as they were exciting comic book storytelling. She got at the X23 Wolverine series. It died almost immediately. She took over She-Hulk, universally loathed. She came over and did Wonder Woman. Sales went down. And now, apparently, that means that you get... did you know she did a Spider-Man Venom miniseries?
No, I was not aware.
Yeah, nobody knew because nobody went out and read it. But now that apparently means that she gets to step up to the plate and write Detective Comics. And there will be no... legitimate criticism of the book because everyone will be too afraid to say anything negative about it. Of course, other than like YouTubers and maybe one or two review sites.
And if sales go down, and there's a good chance that they will, it can't be because she didn't write good stories. It'll be because you don't like women writers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you already know that they've already been written. And I hope
she's critic proof.
I hope to be pleasantly surprised. I hope she does well. Like I said, it does nobody any good for her to fail, but I don't but I don't think she should get a pass just because she checks certain boxes.
Well, here's the thing: from the creators who we've seen, a lot of them check a lot of different boxes. A lot of them are screenwriters. A lot of them, have done lots of slice of life type comics and things of that nature. Certainly, a lot of marginalized backgrounds, things like that, which terrific. But they don't have a lot of little, if any, sales or of actually quality storytelling as far as Action Comics, other than a couple of writers. Obviously, I'm excited about Ram V. Even him, it's not like he's had huge sales numbers on Justice League Dark, but I don't know. This is the truth. This is what DC Comics has told us this week. DC Comics comic books are no longer written for comic book readers. They're written for fluff pieces on the Hollywood Reporter and Variety and whatever mainstream publication will throw them a bone, write a little puff piece about how amazing the new Detective Comics is. Of course, walk away and go cover the stuff they're actually interested in. And the comic book readers are going to be sitting here with a fucking comic book or a whole slew of comic books written by inept, unprepared creators. But they don't care because they're not for us anymore. It's to appease, whatever agenda it is that's going on at AT&T, Warner Media. And it's frustrating, man. Well, comic books are being written, but not for comic readers.
No, you're right. And this is something that both companies have been trying to do for years. One of the things that DC wants is synergy between the comic books and the live action properties. And I've said for years, there's what neither company's ever understood is there are two different audiences. You can get comic book readers will go watch the comic book movies, but it's very difficult to get the comic book movie fans to come try out the comics. Now, there are ways that you could, that I've stated before, you could do that, have a separate line of comics that cover your live action and cartoon universes to get your synergy. and do a proper comic book universe for comic book fans. Now, maybe the decision's been made that there aren't enough of them left to make it economically viable. But I think what happens here is, yes, you'll get all of the write-ups in all the right places. You won't get the sales to go with it because the live action fans, so I said, why would someone who's grown up with video games and live action versions of their heroes pay $4 and $5 a piece for printed pages? The excitement level, it's not going to reach them. But comic book fans that grew up that way, that look at the live action and say, holy crap, I never knew it could be like this. They were getting the best of both worlds because they were already in the comic book world. That's something that just that translate. It doesn't come back the other way in large enough numbers to stake your company, your entire output on that, which seems to be DC seems to be all in now on the synergy between live action and printed page.
It's crazy. Like, so I did my video yesterday, and I was mentioning like Gene Yang is going to be writing Batman and Superman. It feels like it should probably be a pretty important title, the two biggest characters. And I was like, you know what has he done that people have read? You know, he did New Superman. That was canceled in less than 20 issues. He did a Superman versus the Klan. I was like, who read that? I had somebody come out like, that was a huge success. Breen, do you know how many comics of Superman versus the Klan were shipped for issue number 2?
I do not.
A skosh over 11,000. That's a huge success, according to some people, because you can't criticize the fact that Gene Yang wrote a Superman comic that no one read because no one cared, because he's not a superhero comic writer. He's the guy that did American Born Chinese and does, more historical or thesis-based comic books. He's not a superhero writer. But they keep fucking pigeonholing these people in because they want to appease themselves, and then they want to say, Zooey, we got diverse writers. That's great that you have diverse writers, but do you have comic book writers? And it's clear that is not the focus anymore. If you are not a minority comic book writer, you have to be a screenwriter. Otherwise, DC Comics doesn't seem to want anything to do with you. And obviously, I'm frustrated. I know a lot of people are saying when they saw the creative lineup for Future State, they said, perfect. I'm taking 2 months off. I'll come back when they relaunch in March. Now that we've seen, essentially, March is a continuation of the creative teams on Future State. How many people do you think aren't going to come back? I think DC's sales are actually going to tank quite good on this.
If I had to bet one way or another, I would agree with that. We still don't know who's going to do the Superman books, although we have a pretty good idea. That does not fill me with optimism in 2020. Yeah,
Brian Michael Bendis on Justice League.
Here's another thing I saw. Yeah, I read Endless Winter, and there were several mentions made of Bendis's Superman universe. So obviously, everything that he did is going to stick going forward. And if that's the case, why did they take him off of the book?
Well,
if the next writer
the sales of Superman are under 35,000.
Well, I know you and I know why, but I'm saying if the new writers are going to be stuck with keeping that version going, the Public Identity, the Fortress of Solitude in pieces, Rogel's
going to join up with the Authority, and
right. It's why take Bendis off? You might as well leave him on. And I understand he's
new coat of paint and hope people buy it.
Well, I think and I think that's going to be the Justice League, which means he gets several characters to Bendis up. But
can you imagine an entire team of superheroes that can talk to each other the whole time?
Yeah, right now
it'll be like reading Legion of Superheroes or Legion of Superheroes again,
or Young Justice. It's
except
just
with adults.
Yeah. So we don't know who. We have a good idea, but we don't know for sure. Where's Joshua Williamson going? Where's Robert Venditti going? Is Dan Abnett? Does he have a place in this new DC? Does Tamaki? I know he's doing digital Superboy stories, but how many times can a company take one of their best writers and take a dump on him before he just says, I'm out. And maybe that's what they're hoping for.
Absolutely, it's crazy. I have also heard that there's a chance Joshua Williamson might be the Superman writer. We'll see about that. I do think that would be a good pick. But after what I've seen, I'm not counting on it. We know that he was writing the Justice League in Future State, but we hear it's Bendis is going to be the Justice League writer out of this. So maybe it's hit the bricks, Joshua Williamson. Your Flash run was great, but who gives a fuck? Hit the bricks, Robert Venditti. You did a great run on Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps. Your Hawkman was terrific. A lot of people, like freedom fighters, but you're just not woke enough or diverse enough for the new DC Comics, and you don't have enough screenwriting credits. Get the hell out of here, Robert Venditti. That's what it feels like, and it's like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that they seem to be heading in a direction that, as you said, leaves longtime comic book readers behind. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of what I've learned of what's coming out of Future State. I'm not seeing a whole lot to get excited about if you've been around as long as I have. And I admit it, I've been around forever. I'm probably not, who they, I'm clearly not who they want reading their books at this point.
Nobody that reads comic books are who they want to read comic books. Even if you're the wokest SJW guy, they don't want you reading their comic books. They want people that are excited about movies and TV shows only to be reading their comic books.
That does seem to be what they're putting forward. And like I said, it's going to be, there's a harsh lesson that's about to be learned. I'm pretty convinced, because like I said, you can, all the great write-ups in the world in all the right places, you still can't force people to go buy the books. And, they have to want somebody to buy them.
Well, you look at The Last of Us 2. Critical praise across the board, summarily rejected by the actual customers. But they still act like it's a success, even though it's quite apparent that they lost a ton of money.
Kind of like the Avengers video game recently.
Kind of like the Avengers video game recently. Absolutely, they lost all their customer base in a matter of weeks.
It does seem to be that we are in a post-sales world. I think Richard said that a few years ago. And he's turning out to be more right by the day. But maybe they figure there's enough industry insiders that'll take up comic book collecting and get all their ideas for future properties from the books spinning out of Future State and of Future State itself.
I mean, obviously there are a couple of books I'm interested in Future State itself. I'm going to read the Superman War of Worlds. I'm going to read Swamp Thing, the Justice League, the Wonder Woman title. But as far as the stuff that they've announced so far in March, which is only a third of the line, supposedly there's going to be like 45 ongoing comics, and we know like 15 of them, including the James Tynion stuff that we're already aware of. I'm going to read Swamp Thing.
I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading going forward, because
are you going to be reading anything? Is this your walking away moment? I know you walked away from fucking Marvel in 2012.
I don't know, because how many times can DC change everything? This will be about 4 times since Flashpoint. At what point do you just look at and go, and I'm getting too old to break in a new universe, or I don't want to start over yet again, when each time I know less and less about the characters, and I know DC is going to put much more of an emphasis on younger characters, and that's fine. But there's a reason why people my age may not necessarily watch the shows on the CW, because they're aimed 40 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you change your shows for me. They're like, no, if you want to watch, fine. If not, bye-bye. There's the door. So, I said, DC's not going to lose any sleep if a 58-year-old man stops reading their stuff, because they've been getting my money for 45 years. So
will if all of them stop.
Well, Well, that's the thing. Like I said,
there's a lot of their fan base. They don't realize it.
I don't think I'm going to be the only one dipping out if indeed that's what I do. But
so here's the thing, Eric. You're tired of the reboots enough. You know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of the fuck yous and the middle fingers it feels like I get from DC and Marvel on a semi-annual fucking basis. I get it. I know you don't like me. You don't have to be so fucking overt about it. If I didn't have this channel, some people asked me, if you didn't have this channel, would you still be reading DC Comics? No. Other than The Last God, which really isn't even the fucking DC universe. It's a fantasy comic that should be probably on Image or something else. No. Fuck this. Like, get out of here. Obviously, I do have a comic book channel. I'm going to keep up with the news, and I'm going to read some of these series, and if one or two of them are good, okay, I'll stick with them. But, like, you can only be told to go fucking, pound pavement and get the fuck out of here so many times before you get the message. Like, I get it. You fucking hate me.
Yeah, I've said this for years. One of the things about Marvel and DC that I've held to a different standard to other companies is I fall in love with their universes. And for decades, I could read 80% plus of their output and did, sometimes even higher. I mean, I'll just as recent as 12 years ago at Marvel. In my opinion, everything other than Spider-Man was really, really good. Everything at DC other than Superman was really, really good. And this is only 12 or so years ago. You have plenty of times through the 70s, 80s, 90s, especially after Crisis. But so when someone tells me, yeah, well, most of Marvel's crap, but they got 3 or 4 really good books. Well, that's not enough for me. Because I can't, it's hard to get excited about a good book from a universe when I know that in that same continuity, Carol killed Tony again. Oh, well. Or
Marvel, I could only recommend Daredevil and Amazing Spider-Man right now, really.
Yeah, and
Thor and Venom. Those are the 4.
But that's 4 out of how many books?
Well, it's probably about 65, 70 right now.
Yeah, they haven't done an event in years that I've given 2 bleeps about. And in DC, that's why when I built back up to about 10 or 12 DC titles a month as recent as, well, now. But some of them have ended. Some of them are being dramatically altered. I don't think I want to go through another, Dick Grayson personality crisis, but I think we're getting another one. I want to read Superman again, but I know Mark Waid was instrumental in getting rid of every trace of the John Byrne, relaunch after Crisis. So I think we're just going to get, Bendis's version on steroids. So it's just not enough. Just having 2 or 3 good books, I just don't know if that's enough for me to. It's easier to drop 3 books than to add a bunch that I'm not necessarily going to care about.
And another issue with everything being so streaming HBO Max centric, you know what's worse than decompressed fucking comic book storytelling? Decompressed streaming TV. It's all decompressed. It fucking sucks, and people have gotten used to it. I find it annoying as shit. Now, it's not as bad, when you're on Netflix and you can watch all 8 episodes in 3 days or whatever. And obviously in comics, you're getting them every month or maybe every 2 weeks, and it's really strung out. But they're just going to bring that storytelling format to comic books, and it's going to become even more dry, boring, and dull. Blech.
Again, they better hope that this gamble pays off, but I don't think it will.
I don't either, man. So I'll tell you right now, if I didn't have this channel, I probably would bow out. But I will. Obviously, I'm going to give some of the bigger titles a chance. I gave James Tynion's Batman a chance. I'll jump back on when somebody that doesn't like it as much as I do says it's good. Otherwise, I'm not getting back in there. But, I'll give some of these bigger titles a chance, even if they have creators I'm not excited about, and see how it goes. Obviously, we'll review them here on the channel. But if I didn't feel a need to, I would be like, fuck this. There's enough independent comics that I enjoy right now that I don't need this shit.
I have a prediction for Batman. The writer that will follow James Tynion will be Tom King.
You dirty SOB. You're going to end the video on that note.
Something tells me, I said, once the dust settles and they've just made the decision, said, we don't care what you guys think or want anymore, I think they're going to, slip him back in.
Well, now I feel extra dirty. I do want to say this. Like I mentioned at the beginning, there is a link in the video description to I Love Comics and Old Man Comics. I think there's a video up today talking about the great Superman artist of all time, correct?
Yes.
So if you made it to this far into the video, you love comics as much as Breen and I do, and that is Can't Miss Television over there. I think it's on I Love Comics, but it might be on Old Man Comics. It's Breen and Eglantine talking about great Superman artists, and it's a much more positive video than you got right here.